let's discuss value, aspiration, and culture of architecture for your first topic for the final term, architectural design values. So these are actually value that represent the philosophy that guide the architect in their decision making. So these values are actually categorized into actually three, but there are actually 8 of them which we are to discuss. But if we are to categorize them, it's only divided into three categories. So first will be the aesthetic side, the social, and then the environmental. So the aesthetic or the design values, so these are focused on visual and sensory experience of a building. So this include the spirit of time, structural, functional, and material honesty, simplicity and minimalism, nature and organic, classic, traditional, vernacular, and regionalism. So these are actually aesthetic and social categories. So while the values which focuses on improving human life and society include the social change and consultation and participation. So we'll discuss them today in a while. So these are the 8 design values. Okay, the spirit of time, design value, the structural, functional, and material honesty, the simplicity and minimalism design value, nature and organic, the classic, traditional, and vernacular aesthetic values, and the regionalism design value. So these 6 actually pertains to the aesthetic side of the project, whilst yung dalawa, the social and the consultation actually are classified under social and environmental. So basically, itong 8 ito are just 3 categories, no? If we are to simplify them. Okay, the first design value is the spirit of time. So this design value is based on the concept shown that every age has a certain spirit or set of shared attitude that should be utilized when designing. The spirit of time and design value often link to the idea of zeitgeist. So it means the architecture should reflect the unique character of the period in which it is created. So at its core, this concept suggests that every era has its own mindset, own belief, own taste, and cultural atmosphere. So they shape by these factors, like the technology that is present at that time, the politics, the set of economics and art and social behavior. So this encourages to respond this encourages the designer to respond to these conditions rather than simply copying the styles from the past. So when we say intellectual and cultural climate, it refers to how people of a certain time think and live. For example, a society focused on innovation and speed may favor sleek, modern, and minimalist design, while a society that values tradition may lean toward more ornamental and historic forms. So the second is the structural, functional, and materiality or material honesty design value. Structural honesty is linked to the notion that a structure shall display its true purpose and not be decorative. So the this value is about truthfulness in architecture. So designing building in a way that actually clearly express how they stand, how they work, and what they are made of without any deception or unnecessary disguise. So structural honesty means the way a building is supposed is supported should be visible and understandable. The structure should not be hidden beyond excessive decoration or make it look like something it is not. For example, if a building is supported by steel column, those elements can be expressed rather than concealed. So that's structural honesty. And functional honesty is closely tied to the principle form follows function. This means that the shape and layout of the building should be based on its purpose instead of designing purely for appearance. The architect prioritize how the space will be used. And then the material honesty focuses on using the material in a truthful and appropriate way. Each material, such as wood, concrete, steel, or glass, they have their own natural property and strength and appearance. So material honesty means um, we do not consider dishonesty. It means that using a material as a fixed substitute is actually is considered dishonesty. Okay, so it's no. For example, if a wood should like and behave like a wood, so it should not be painted. It should not be shape or imitate stone or metal. So that's material honesty. It should be clear and understandable. It is purpose driven and it should be authentic. The third one is the simplicity and minimalist design value. So this design value is based on the idea that simple forms, aesthetics without considerable ornament, simple geometry, smooth surfaces represent form which are both truer to real art and represent folk wisdom. Okay, so this value naman centers on the idea that less is more. It means that we should reduce unnecessary elements in design which lead to greater clarity, beauty, and meaning. This concept promotes the use of simpler forms such as clean lines, basic geometry, and smooth unadorned surfaces. So unlike highly decorative style, minimalist design avoids excessive ornamentation. The belief is that the true artistic expression does not rely on complexity or embellishment, but on the careful arrangement of essential elements. For example, a minimalist room with a neutral color, clean surfaces, and only essential furniture can feel more peaceful compared to a crowded, heavily decorated space. Next design value is nature and organic. This design value is based on the idea that nature can provide an inspiration, functional clue, and aesthetic form that architect and industrial designers should use as a basis for designs. Nature and organic design value emphasizes using nature as inspiration in architecture. Designers study natural form, patterns, and system to create buildings that are both functional and visually pleasing. This approach results in curved, flowing, and asymmetrical design that feel more natural and less rigid. The idea of a form follows flow means design should follow nature movement like the terrain, the wind, or human use. The concept of off the hill and not on the hill highlights that buildings should be blend with their environment rather than dominated. In short, this design value promotes architecture that is harmonious, fluid, and connected to nature. The classic tradition and vernacular aesthetic design value. This value is based on the belief that a building and product should be designed from timeless principle that transcends particular designers, cultures, and climates. So the classic, traditional, and vernacular aesthetic design value emphasize timeless or familiar design rooted in tradition and local culture. It uses form which are shaped by the climate and material and regional practices. So it makes the building easy to understand and appreciate. In short, it promotes architecture that is timeless, local, and culturally meaningful. The regionalism design value is based on the belief that building and to some degree product should be designed in accordance with the particular characteristic of a specific place. So it is linked in the aim of achieving visual harmony between a building and its surrounding, as well as achieving continuity in a given area. So it focuses on designing buildings that reflect the unique characteristic of a specific place. It actually aims to harmonize with the surrounding and maintain continuity between past and the present architectural style. So these approaches help preserve the local and national identity. In short, it promotes architecture that is contextual, harmonious, and rooted in its religion. The social change design values. So these are values that can be described as a commitment to change society for the better through architecture and industrial design. So the social design value is the belief that architecture and products can be used as a tools to improve the society and human behavior. So the social change actually has its purpose, which prioritizes social progress over static connection. It links design to political movement and government program. It has impact. So designers aim to re-engineer how people live by modernizing their physical environment. Next is the consultation and participation design value. So this design value is based on the belief that it is beneficial to involve stakeholder in the design process. This value is connected to a belief that user involvement leads to meeting social need and an effective use of resources, influence in design, as well as the awareness of the consequences. Three are providing relevant and up-to-date information for a project team. So this design value is the belief that when you involve people who will actually use a space or a product, it leads to better or more efficient results. So if we involve them, so we ensure that resources are used effectively, by focusing on what the community actually require rather than just the designer thinks they need. The empowerment of stakeholders, so it gives the users influence over the process, so making them more aware of and invest in the project's final consequences. It also provides the design team with accurate, current information that they might otherwise overlook. Okay, next will be the aspiration. So aspiration is actually, according to Merriam-Webster, is a strong desire to achieve something high or great. Sustainability integration as one of the aspiration of future architects. So we can agree that when you think of futuristic architecture, the word sustainable is the one to lead them all. So it's like an utopic images of towering building or green facade with extremely complex processes and technology to assure a smaller carbon footprint. So futuristic architecture refers to building and design that seems advanced and innovative or ahead of their time. So if we think about futuristic, the first thing most people imagine is that they are environmentally friendly and energy efficient. So like the phrase utopic, which means idealistic or perfect, it's almost like a dreamlike mental feature of what is futuristic and sustainable building look like. So like a towering building or a green facade, this suggests that tall skyscrapers covered in green plant or greenery on the outside, which is often associated with sustainable architecture because plants can help reduce heat, they can clean air, and support biodiversity. So smaller carbon footprint means this building produces less carbon dioxide, to which contribute to climate change. In short, when people imagine futuristic architecture, you usually picture it with very advanced or eco-friendly building. Okay, like tall and green and technologically sophisticated, or those who are designed to minimize harm to the environment. The next one is verticality. And so from the construction of the first skyscrapers around 1886, the search to touch the sky became an icon for contemporaneity. So according to the theory, the vertical development of the city would help solve the problem of overpopulation and density, as well as enduing the urban display with disruptive yet welcome morphological innovations. So one example of verticality is the Vancouverism and pioneered in Vancouver, Canada. So it is actually a development that supports this aspiration of verticality. Okay, of course, as mentioned here in our slide, so it's actually help to solve the problem of density in an area. Some of examples of aspirations under verticality is the Aris Bay Tower in Dubai, UAE. The next is the urban forest development. So architects nowadays compete to build the greenest skyscraper, literally and figuratively speaking. Koichi Takada strives to project a space where, in his words, the world can reconnect with a more natural, intuitive, and conscious feature. In his project, Urban Forest, he intends to build Australia's greener building in a 30-story mixed-use residential tower. So the urban forest development means planning and building urban spaces in a way that add more trees and plants to reduce pollution and heat, to improve the air quality and biodiversity, provide recreation and mental health benefits for residents, and it incorporates sustainable design elements like rainwater collection, the green roof, or the energy efficient building surrounded by vegetation. It's about turning cities into forests where nature and urban life coexist, making them healthier and cooler and more environmental friendly. Next is restorations. So when we talk about sustainability, we tend to forget about restoration. Okay, actually, the restoration is a sustainable act per se, and its role in shaping of a city is crucial too. So when we talk about sustainability, so usually we focus on green new building, energy efficient or eco-friendly materials, but restoration is preserving or repairing old building is often overlooked, even though it's an important part of sustainability. Restoring an old building, it reduces waste and it saves resources because it avoids demolishing material and building from scratch. In other words, Restoration is inherently sustainable because it extends the life of an existing structure. Next is social housing. Has been one of the most discussed topic in contemporary architecture ever since Industrial Revolution. From Le Corbusier to Alvar Aalto, every architect has tried their own ways to solve the seemingly unsolvable problem of overpopulation and density by construction of social housing. For what is worth today, the conception of these spaces have been proven to be a great opportunity to deal with this topic as they offer the city a renewed meaning. It has been one of the most discussed topic because more people are moving to cities, so housing becomes a major challenge for architects. So today, social housing isn't just about providing a roof, it's also a chance to reshape the urban environment and create community spaces and make cities more livable and meaningful. It has been the key focus of modern architecture from Le Corbusier to today, tackling overpopulation and urban density while giving cities new life and social values. Culture. Culture is defined as the idea, custom, and social behavior of a particular people or society. The behavior we are accustomed to and have been taught are the factors determining the kind of space we need to live in. Culture reshaping architecture is a very inherent concept, but we usually tend to overlook this concept or idea. Architecture is designing the space to fulfill certain functions based on the need of the user. The user's needs arises based on this activity, which are all well defined by their culture. Their practice and their belief dictates what their living and gathering spaces should be like. At times, architecture becomes a direct expression of culture and beliefs. Among the foremost, among the foremost things that beside the role of architecture or space, culture plays a very significant role. The location of a space, the size required for that function, and the way through which it connects are all aided by the basic cultural and significant spaces is being designed for. Space and culture are interlinked together to the extent that space cannot be analyzed without that factor coming into play. First, space is formed based on a certain cultural requirements. Later, it may even influence some changes in the existing culture. Example is the ancient temple of South India. Make this fact very evident. They have prakara, the circumambulatory path around the main idol to fulfill the practice of going around the idol that is traditional of the Hindu people. They also have Natya Mandapas in front of the main veneration area to provide a stage for four dances. These dances serve the purpose of communicating some principles of religion. The inscription of the temple Upapita, the portion above the plinth clearly demarcated on the facade, also tells story. Need for this portion of the wall to be well demarcated arises from the culture of telling stories through stories that are usually written on this part. If the architect is not aware of this fact, then a temple that doesn't fulfill this purpose would be produced. Hence, defeating the purpose of the temple is a learning space. They are raised to such great heights that they are made visible from long distances to remind all people living in the vicinity of the gods. An example in ancient Greece, the people were rigorously engaged in public debate about philosophy, mythology, and science. It was considered a part of being Greek. That is where the famous gathering place of the Agora was born. a place for public gathering to express their thought, and it consequently became a part of that society. The agora are what turned into public square and can be seen even today in major cities modeled after classical city centers. In ancient Rome, the concept of the pantheon, where all their gods were situated at equivalent position in comparison to each other, showed their strong belief in polytheism. They had transformed the idea of 12 equal beings into space and architecture. The result was a circular ace with 12 niches and equal distances, and they decorated the way they knew best with classical Roman proportion and order. Today stands as a symbol for ancient Rome and classical architecture. The well-renowned Vastu Sastra, the rules and regulations for space as dictated by the Hindu religion, is being followed by the Hindu people. The Chinese have the Feng Shui or the Qi. All these rules or instructions have been drafted in accordance with the cultural practice of the people following that religion. These were made to make sure that people follow their culture. These instructions are looked at from a sacred point of view even today.